Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Ask AJ, where I talk about and answer questions about intelligent automation and RPA. I'm back again with my good friend Joe Peri from Optivate, and we're spending some time today talking about certain topics within RPA. And one of the things that we've been talking about, and one of the things that comes up frequently in the conversations that Joe and I and our firms have with prospective clients is, why would it be important to work with a pure play? As you've heard said before, Symphony has been recognized as one of the best pure play RPA providers in the world. Joe's company Optivate, which is new, is solely focused on the pure play of RPA. And so we thought it might be interesting to talk a little bit about why we think that's of value to clients and why pure play power could lead to organizations like Optivate and Symphony being willing to work together. So Joe, Thanks for coming back.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So as you talk to clients, and look, you and I have had the opportunity with the organizations that we've worked for to work with some of the largest consulting firms and advisory firms, not just in the United States, but the world.
Absolutely.
Certainly. And we've had the great fortune of meeting the people who are running the RPA and automation efforts at those organizations and count them as colleagues and in many cases friends. Mm-hmm. So why would someone be interested in working with an organization like Optivate or Symphony as opposed to a bigger organization?
Well, that's a great question. I would start because we're better. I would just start with that.
Sure.
But no, I mean, in reality, I think that all the different firms bring value, right?
Yeah.
They bring different kinds of value. I think the pure plays, there's so many different reasons. I think one is this is what we're focused on, right? We know this inside and out. We do this, the automation. I can look at, and I know you're the same way, we can look at a process, and just by watching someone do it, in my head, I'm automatically thinking, that's automatable. That one we might have to look at some workarounds, and we're not distracted by all the other stuff. The non-pure play, if that's even a thing, but the non-pure play providers, they're, in my opinion, because I was a buyer, I sat in a buyer chair my entire career until now. Right.
Yeah.
And so as a buyer, I think one thing that you think about is the distractions. If you have an organization that's partnering with you that's not a pure play, as a buyer, I was always thinking about, well, okay, they're doing this, but I always had the feeling that they were always looking for what's the next thing, right? Do I do management consulting? Am I going to help you develop and build your management team? Am I looking for, business process improvement opportunities? Am I looking for benchmarking opportunities? Am I looking, right? And it's like, okay, and those are all sometimes needed, necessary things in a business operation. Yeah. But what a pure play in automation does is, what they're there for. That they're good at it because it's what they're focused on. They're the experts in that. And they're not looking for the other stuff, right? They're not necessarily, even though they know it, because we've been around the block once or twice. I know when I see process improvement opportunities. I mean, I know when I see these other things going on where, it could help the operation, may even suggest you might want to look into this. It's not what we do, right?
Right.
We focus on automation. And I think it's powerful to have a partner in there that is focused on that as a pure play, and both yours and my background have actually done it.
Yeah.
We sat in the buyer seat, we sat in the operations seat, we were accountable to deliver bottom line results.
Yeah.
And one of the tools we used that was pretty profound was automation.
Right.
And I think it's huge.
Well, and as I've mentioned in past episodes, part of the reason that I'm at Symphony today is that idea of bringing that mindset of the buyer into the firm, and having someone who has been the kind of been there, done that scenario as a gauge for us as we move forward.
Right.
So when you're talking to potential clients, and they realize that you're a smaller shop perhaps than what they're used to dealing with, or many of them have other relationships with large firms who are now doing RPA. How do you handle those conversations about the size differential and why that shouldn't matter to them?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. A lot of the larger firms, when they engage a client in automation, they're usually calling us for resources. So I think that the perception of their larger, I mean, they have more cash, right? They're bigger. I mean, maybe one day we're there. I don't know, but I mean, they have more behind them, no doubt about that. But the reality is in the automation market is there's only so many resources to go around, and we're still in a resource deprived state where there aren't enough people that know how to do this. There aren't really any people in the U.S. that have the experience that you and I have. Actually implementing automation tools in a live operation and doing it successfully.
Right.
There are several that have come years after us, 2 years, 3 years, and they're very successful today. But no one that I know of in the U.S. market that has been around and been doing this successfully for as long as we have. So I think that's huge. You just can't find that anywhere else.
Right.
So I mean when you get asked those questions, I mean, they're partially valid, I guess. I mean, because it's reality. You are smaller. You're a smaller organization. You're a startup. You're whatever. But I don't think that minimizes your ability to come in and repeat and do what you've done that was successful for them.
Right.
And in fact, in many ways, the larger organizations can't make that claim. They can't say, they could say, I helped someone do this. But again, as an operations leader and a buyer who has bought these services, at the end of the day, you can have a consultant come in and give you advice.
Right.
But you're the one who has to implement it, and you're the one who's tweaking it to make it actually work.
Yeah.
You're taking it. It's different to take a concept and make it a reality and make it deliver results. And having that experience, I think, is something that's just totally different than just giving the advice.
Yeah, I agree. One of the other questions that leads into this topic of pure plays, and with you and I doing what we're doing today, there's a collegiality amongst the pure plays that I don't think many people might be surprised by, right? The whole sort of frenemy perspective of it.
Co-opetition.
Co-opetition,
right?
Yeah. But so from your perspective, why should pure plays like ours look for opportunities to work together, and how does that advantage a potential client?
Oh, so many different ways. I mean, early on I was using the analogy. It's like our companies build sandcastles, and we're walking out on a beach where hardly anyone is building sandcastles. And while we're building the same kind of stuff and we're doing the same kind of stuff, you're so far away. There's so many prospects, there's so many opportunities out there that, you're doing the same thing, and technically you're competitors, but why compete when you don't have to at this point? Why not work together and be stronger together than everybody trying to swim their own thing on their own? It just, and I think at the end of the day, it provides greater value to the customer.
Yeah.
I think that, again, if I and it's hard for me not to always do this, but I switch over to the buyer's perspective and the customer's perspective, and they're talking to someone like us, and they're asking those kind of questions. They're really probing for, why is this a better solution? And frankly, it's because we have that experience. We've done it in real life. We were accountable for the results. And in working together, we see the advantages of bringing in, different perspectives, different capabilities, and combining them.
Yeah.
That I think is unique in this market right now. Normally like benchmarking, right? If you went to hire a consultant to do benchmarking, they said, hey, there's 3 of us are going to come to the table here and help you do the benchmarking. If they all completely overlap, you would immediately go back to, so what's the value?
Right.
What do I get different? I mean, who's the better one? Let me just go with that one, right?
Yeah.
But, using the same analogy, if you're doing benchmarking and you're benchmarking across a bunch of services, one company might be good in this sector, another one's good in this sector, and maybe there's a pinch of overlap, and another one's good over here, and there's a little overlap.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you have a suite of delivery methods, right?
Right.
A suite of products that for you, the consumer of it, makes all the sense in the world. And I think that's, maybe a simple way of describing how working together as partners makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, Symphony has global scale. Optivate does not have global scale. We work with clients who are global, but we happen to be working with their U.S. operations. So, of course, it's way too expensive for us in our early stages to go global.
Right.
So why wouldn't we bring a partner along and say, hey, you know what? We both get it.
Right.
Our approaches are very similar.
Right.
Our backgrounds are even overlapped in a lot of cases.
Yeah, very much
so. So why wouldn't we leverage Symphony's global scale and capability, along with what Optivate brings, which is the real operations experience. We're local here in the U.S. and and a lot of times our clients are literally in the cities we're working in.
Right.
So there's just a good mix, and since we get along so well and our methods and philosophies are so aligned, I think it's a win-win for the customer.
Yeah. So, talk for a second about what you think about really the ability of pure plays, of organizations like ours, to be able to serve a broad variety of clients. I think there are still many, many people who think that this technology is for the big boys, right? It's for the larger organizations who can afford to invest in what it takes to get a program up and running, but that's not necessarily true. So what advantage does an organization perhaps who isn't working at an enterprise scale can get out of working with pure plays, especially pure plays who are working together?
Yeah, that's another great question. So what we're seeing, our perspective is that, well, there's all these organizations out there. It's almost like everyone is now looking at automation and what it can do. And the reality is that, look, if you're a mega sized organization and you are going for the big bang approach, right? Which is we're taking millions and millions of dollars and we're throwing it at automation because we're sold, we believe it. And by the way, I think it is in a lot of cases the way to go, but not many organizations are going to do that. What we find is many organizations, big, medium, and small, are taking a slightly different approach, and they're being a little more conservative, and they're saying, you know what, we want to dip our foot in the water over here, and we want to, we really want to get comfortable with, is this really going to work for us? Is this really going to be a benefit for us? And we want to try it out. What happens, I think, in a lot of the larger organizations, the larger partners, is they're not interested in that.
Yeah.
They're not interested in those companies that want to start out small and light. They want the big deals, right? And we're smaller. We have a smaller footprint. You guys are bigger than Optivate, but still a smaller footprint. We're lean, and we have the staff we need, and we can deliver the services we say we can deliver. But we don't have all that overhead. We don't have people necessarily sitting on the bench that we have to figure out how to pay.
Right.
We're staying busy. And because our scale is small, we can address a segment of the market that I think is more prevalent than most would like to believe. And that is those organizations, no matter what the size is, who don't want to go in guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
And they want to try this out and start to build momentum. Right?
Sure.
It's what we did at a prior organization